All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we will talk about now J.J.McCarthy of the Minnesota Vikings and his recent uh, injury. Um, was dealing with some knee soreness, so got some testing done on it, and it was confirmed that he has a torn meniscus in his knee, which it's not good. We don't know what the extent of, well, we don't know what the timeline of him coming back is. We don't know what that is going to entail. But what that does mean is that he's going to be out, and we are going to see Sam Darnold. Well, I mean, kind of figured we were going to see Sam Darnold anyways. I thought that was really the plan all along, is for Sam Darnold to start, and then they would transition to McCarthy at some point during the year. But now, Sam Darnold's going to be the starter for probably a while. And again, I don't think we have the official timeline of, when he's going to be able to come back. But yeah, this is a huge blow, because this is the guy that the Vikings look at as the franchise quarterback. And, who knows when he's going to come back, if we're going to see him at all this year. Because in terms of his debut, like I said in the first segment, I turned on the game. He threw a pick right away, but then after that, made some pretty good throws. So again, it's only preseason, but still, this is the right system to be in. I think he ended up in a good situation with the playmakers that he would have around him. Again, I got to see how he plays, during the regular season, but now we're not going to be able to see that. And, who knows? Because this could either be, trimming with the meniscus, a simple cleanup, which would take a few weeks, or a full repair of the meniscus, which would take longer. And, yeah, so he sat out Monday's practice due to knee soreness that led to further tests and the discovery of the meniscus issue. KevinO'Connell praised McCarthy's perseverance in playing through the injury during the game and expressed disappointment for the rookie's interrupted development. So, yeah, we got to wait and see how long he's going to be out. But Sam Darnold is going to get, some runway to, be the starter. And it's a blow for the Vikings just because, again, you want to be able to evaluate your future. They drafted him with the 10th overall pick. He's going to be, they look at him as the long-term answer at quarterback. And if he sits out for the full year, which, again, you don't know how long he would have sat, because I still thought all along that Sam Darnold was going to start the year, but you didn't know how long he was going to sit for. J.J. McCarthy, when was going to be the right time to be put in. And, the Vikings' schedule to start the year is brutal. So maybe, if Darnold's not playing well, after that stretch, then they would have put in McCarthy. Because the Vikings' schedule, I of course I did go over it, but, when I was going over the schedule previews, but yeah, they do have a brutal start to the year. And of course, when I go to pull up their schedule, it does not let me on CBS. So that's nice. Okay, actually, wait, hold on. Of course, my phone does not want to work. That's awesome. But they do open up against the Giants. I know the Packers were on there. The Texans were on there as well. It was just a brutal start to the season. Yeah, so they take on the Giants in week 1, which I will be in attendance for. Then after that, they take on the 49ers in week 2, which is not going to be easy. They take on the Texans. They're at Green Bay. Then the international game with the Jets. Bye week, play against the Lions. At the Rams, you got the Colts. Yeah, I mean, those are tough games. So, it's very likely they could have, one or two wins. And the Vikings roster is not bad. They got a good team. It's just, of the teams in their division and how their schedule starts out, it's tough. It's going to be tough for them. So, this might not be a good year for them. Now, that doesn't mean like they're going to get blown out by all these teams that they play against, but a lot of those matchups you look at early on. I mean, again, the Giants could be a win, but you got the Packers. I mean, there's divisional games. You got the Packers and the Vikings. You're always going to play your division rivals tough for the most part. You got the Texans, the 49ers. The Vikings did beat the 49ers in Minnesota last year. Let's don't forget about that. That did happen. Now, can it happen again? I don't know, but let's not pretend that didn't happen. So, we do have a comment in the chat. Shots below the belt. He said drafted Jordan Addison before the J.J. McCarthy news on fantasy. Well, listen, I don't think that's something to freak out about. I think even with Sam Darnold throwing him the ball, I think, Addison is still going to be a productive receiver for you. Now, it depends on where you drafted him. Like, if you overdrafted for Addison, well, if he's like your number one receiver on your team, well, that's kind of a problem. But I don't think that's something to be too concerned about. Because J.J. McCarthy, I don't think was going to start the year. But, there are some questions, like how is Sam Darnold going to do in this offense? And you also got Justin Jefferson healthy. And if Jefferson's healthy, defenses are going to be focusing in on him more so than Addison. So, I don't think that's something to worry about when it comes to Addison's production in fantasy. Now, in terms of where you would draft Addison, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure what his ADP is off the top of my head. But, he's going to be taken. He's not going to be taken in the first 2 rounds. I guess he'd be probably a 3rd or 4th round pick in my mind. And you also got to remember, I mean, look at what Justin Jefferson did that last game of the year with Nick Mullins at quarterback. I think these guys are still going to be able to produce even with some of the with the quarterback situation that they got going on right now. Because now Nick Mullins is the quarterback too. Now I think I don't know what the unofficial depth chart was for the Vikings if they had J.J. McCarthy. I think they had. Did they have McCarthy listed as the 3rd quarterback? I'm not really sure, but I mean now Nick Mullins is the number 2 guy, I would imagine. But now that I think about it, Nick Mullins didn't even play. It was Jaren Hall that played in the preseason game. So I don't know. But we know that Sam Darnold is a QB1. So keep knocking over my mic here. Yeah, I wouldn't really worry about the McCarthy injury when it comes to Addison's fantasy production. But this is, again, it's just it's a blow to their team. Because, if he's out for an extended period of time, you might not really see him this year. If, like I said, if it's a, cleanup, a trimming, I think that's what they were calling it, of the meniscus, then he could be back sooner. But it's just unfortunate. And he's one of those guys that's going to be, that was being put under a microscope just because of where he was coming from Michigan, and, the criticism that he has gotten, in the national championship game, just handing the ball off and, not really throwing it as much. Michigan was, a run-first team. And, how is his play style going to translate to the NFL? I mean, he's got a big arm. We saw that in some of the throws that he made. He's in a good situation. So, if he's able to come back, even when he's not healthy, he could just sit and just, you know, take in all the knowledge from the other quarterbacks on the team. And, you know, when he's ready to go, you know, we'll see what he could do. But, you know, at least, you know, in his debut, it was a mixed bag a little bit because the interception was bad. But you know what? That's going to happen. It's going to happen to all the young quarterbacks that we see. You know, we saw, you know, some of the other guys and they had good debuts, but you know what? They're going to have their moments where they don't, you know, put up good numbers and they make mistakes. But that all comes with, you know, transitioning to the NFL. And, you know, we'll see who separates themselves from the pack, who's able to adjust faster. And we'll see who, you know, just doesn't have it in general. Some we might not see right off the bat. Like we know Michael Penix is going to be sitting for, you know, for a bit if Kirk Cousins stays healthy. But we know we're going to see Caleb Williams right off the bat. We know we're going to see Jaden Daniels right off the bat. So, you know, and I feel like for the most part, you got to like what you saw from pretty much all the young quarterbacks. I mean, Drake May really didn't get to see a lot of him. But we did see a, you know, decent amount of J.J.McCarthy. We did see, you know, Caleb Williams make some plays in his debut. Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix. They all made plays. Pretty much. So, you know, not a bad weekend for them until, you know, we heard the news of the injury to J.J. McCarthy. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think, though, about the injury for McCarthy. Again, it's just unfortunate because, again, he had you know, it was a little bit of a mixed bag, but, you know, the good outweighed the bad, in my opinion, from what I saw. So, let me know what you guys think, though, in the comments. So, we are going to take our next break, and when we come back, we will discuss Hassan Reddick of the Jets requesting a trade and the Jets, you know, their response to that. So, with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.